birth of the Aryanthians, the early awakening. Ely-the-ria, a planet born of energy and harmony, was once a vast, unified realm. For millennia it lay untouched, its ecosystems flourishing under the guidance of natural forces. Over time, life evolved in brilliant forms, shaped by the planet's unique conditions. Twin suns, auroras, fed by magnetic storms, and the enigmatic substance known as aeitherite. Among these early forms, the Orienthians emerged, not born in the traditional sense, but crystallized from Ely-the-ria's energies. Their bodies shimmered with translucent, fractal-like patterns, and they thrived in a state of symbiosis with the planet. They were more than sentient, they were resonant, able to communicate with the photonized fields and magnetic forces that governed Ely-the-ria. As they grew in numbers, they discovered aeitherite, whose properties allowed them to manipulate light and gravity. What began as simple exploration soon turned into mastery. Aeitherite became the cornerstone of their society, enabling the construction of their first luminous cities and the cultivation of Ely-the-ria's natural beauty. The rise of a radiant civilization, harmony and expansion. The Orienthians' culture was centered on balance. They believed in the principle of aeither, or the eternal glow, a philosophy that viewed light as the source of all creation and renewal. Their society had no hierarchy or war. Instead, they functioned as a collective consciousness, pooling their knowledge and creativity for the betterment of all. Their crystalline cities, like Aeither, floated above vast landscapes, each designed to amplify the natural energies of Ely-the-ria. They created bridges of light that connected the islands, gardens that pulsed with bioluminescent life, and reservoirs of liquid crystal that stored the energy of the suns. During this golden age, the Orienthians began reaching beyond Ely-the-ria. Through concentrated light transmissions, they sent out signals into the cosmos, seeking other forms of life. To their surprise, they found echoes of their own energy on a distant planet, Earth. The Earth connection, shared vibrations. The Orienthians' initial contact with Earth was indirect. They observed its burgeoning life forms, its vast oceans, and its primitive light. Fascinated by humanity's potential, they sent emissaries, beings of light that could manifest briefly in Earth's atmosphere.
Tales of gods with radiant forms, they introduced early humans to the principles of geometry and energy, influencing sacred structures like the pyramids and mandalas. But the Orienthians' interference was fleeting. They saw humanity's violence and ambition as a threat to its own survival, and fearing they might destabilize Earth, they withdrew their presence, leaving only faint traces of their energy in crystals and legends. The fracture and the beginning of the end. Hubris and collapse. The Orienthians' mastery of aeitherite grew to overdependence. They mined it relentlessly, building ever grander cities, pushing the limits of their technology. Some warned that the planet's magnetic balance was faltering, but their voices were ignored in the pursuit of progress. When the fracture occurred, it was cataclysmic. Vast chunks of land broke free, floating into the skies. Oceans turned to mist, forests shattered, and the auroras dimmed. Millions of Orienthians perished, their energy scattered into the void. survivors faced a grim reality. Ely-the-ria, their paradise, was broken. Their harmony was lost, replaced by division and fear. In their desperation, they turned to the aeither convergence, a radical plan to ascend beyond physical form and restore the planet by merging their consciousness with its energy fields. The convergence, ascension, and abandonment. The convergence required perfect unity. As the twin suns aligned with the moons, the Orienthians gathered in Aeither, channeling their collective energy into the auroras. The process was beautiful and terrifying, a symphony of light and sound that transcended mortal comprehension. And then they were gone. Their physical forms dissolved, their consciousnesses dispersing into aeither-ria's photonized fields. For a moment, the auroras flared brighter than ever before. But when the light dimmed, the planet remained fractured. In their absence, aeither-ria became a world of echoes. The crystalline cities fell silent, their once living walls now dormant. The terramorphs, resilient and adaptable, rose as stewards of the planet, but they could never recreate the brilliance of the Orienthians. The legacy of the Orienthians, a faint whisper, though their bodies are gone. The Orienthians' essence lingers. The auroras carry faint whispers of their thoughts, and the crystalline lakes' reeks reflect their memories. Some believe they are watching, waiting for the right moment to return. On Earth, their legacy survives in myth symbols, and the rare crystals infused with their energy. Hallucinogens derived from these crystals occasionally grant visions of aeither-ria, drawing the curious and the chosen into the light. And so their story remains unfinished, their fate a mystery. Aeither-ria is no longer theirs, yet it is still shaped by their presence. And somewhere far away, the first chords of a new symphony are about to play.
Drawn to light as a child, he would sit by the window for hours, watching how the sunlight refracted through cracked glass, scattering rainbows onto the walls, while others saw chaos in the interplay of color and shadow. KL saw patterns, fractal spirals, and the delicate symmetry of nature. Born in a quiet coastal town, KL's upbringing was unremarkable to most. His parents modest but supportive, nurtured his creativity, even when it veered toward the obsessive. By the time he was 10, KL had covered his bedroom walls with drawings of geometric designs. His teachers called him brilliant but distracted, a prodigy of focus when it came to art and little else. Teenage years, a spark of obsession. KL's teenage years were marked by isolation while his peers chased fleeting trends. KL found solace in the study of sacred geometry and ancient symbols. He devoured books on everything from the Fibonacci sequence to the mystical properties of light. At 16, a trip to an art museum became a turning point. He stood transfixed before a painting that seemed alive with movement, a kaleidoscope of shapes and colors that blurred the line between art and energy. For the first time, he felt a pull towards something greater, something he couldn't name. His art evolved. He began experimenting with reflective materials, lasers, and even prisms to create interactive sculptures. People described his work as otherworldly, but to KL, it still felt incomplete, as if he were chasing a vision just out of reach. KL's adult years searching for the eternal glow. The struggle by his late 20s, Keel had gained a small following. As a light sculptor, he exhibited his works at niche galleries and underground festivals, earning just enough to scrape by his signature pieces. Intricate installations of fractals projected through beams of light were described as portals to another dimension. Despite his growing reputation, Keel felt an emptiness gnawing at him. He was haunted by recurring dreams of shimmering skies and floating islands, a world he couldn't explain but desperately wanted to capture in his art. His pieces grew larger and more intricate, yet the visions persisted, leaving him unsatisfied. The discovery. While exploring a forgotten antique shop in the Andes, Keel stumbled upon a crystal unlike anything he'd seen. It radiated faintly, catching the light in impossible ways. The shopkeeper claimed it was from an ancient time, a relic found deep within a mountain cave. Keel purchased it without hesitation. Back home he found that simply holding the crystal amplified his creative
To transformation. At 32, Keel was invited to showcase his work at the Festival of Fractured Light, an experimental art and music gathering held in the Nevada desert. The festival was a haven for creatives, visionaries, and seekers, known for its surreal installations, an open embrace of altered states of consciousness. Keel saw it as a chance to both display his largest work yet and delve deeper into the visions that consumed him. He created a towering light sculpture titled the Resonance Gate, designed to project infinite fractals through carefully arranged prisms. The centerpiece, of course, was the Andean crystal, the Night of Transcendence. On the second night of the festival, as the crowd gathered around his installation, Keel felt the air shift. The crystal in his sculpture began to glow, brighter than he had ever seen around him. The festival's light displays seemed to blur and merge, creating an ethereal backdrop. A fellow artist offered him a rare hallucinogen, a blend derived from ancient plants known for their connection to light and perception. Reluctantly, Keel accepted, seeking answers to the visions that haunted him. As the substance took hold, Keel's perception expanded. The fractals from his installation came alive, forming patterns he recognized in his dreams. The auroras above the desert sky seemed to ripple in time with the vibrations of the festival, and the crystal's glow intensified, casting beams of light that felt almost solid. And then, the portal opened. Ely-the-ria revealed, crossing over. The air around Keel became thick with light. The desert faded away, replaced by a swirling vortex of color and energy. He felt weightless, as if being pulled through the very fabric of reality. When the light subsided, he found himself standing on a floating island, surrounded by glowing trees and crystalline lakes. The air hummed with a resonance he had only felt in his dreams. Ely-the-ria was real. Keel collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed by the beauty and familiarity of the place. The visions that haunted him for years now stretched before him in vivid detail, and though he didn't yet understand why, he knew he had been brought here for a reason. Crossing the threshold. Arrival in Ely-the-ria, awakening on a floating island. Keel's first sensation upon crossing into Ely-the-ria was a resonance, not heard but felt, vibrating through his entire being. As the light faded and his vision adjusted, he realized he was standing on a soft, moss-like surface that shimmered faintly under his feet. Above him, the twin suns hung low in the sky, casting rays of gold and violet through an endless expanse of auroras. The island was alive. Trees with glowing, translucent leaves towered overhead, their branches swaying gently despite the stillness of the air. Crystalline formations jutted from the ground, catching the light and refracting it into countless rainbows.